Hey, look who's here. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another card playing video. Today's video is going to be all about poker, or variations of poker games you may already be familiar with. Now look, if you don't know whether a straight beats a flush or not, then this video probably isn't for you. There's plenty of videos out there that can teach you how to play poker. Nope, this video is to learn a few new games of poker or new variations of poker to make your poker playing a little bit more fun. We call this video Dealer's Choice. Follow along, I'll show you why. Okay. So in this video, we're going to talk about a bunch of different poker games that, once again, you may be familiar with, you may not. But let me paint a picture for you and tell me if this sounds familiar. You call up the usual suspects and you try and gather them together for a poker game. They all come over and you end up sitting around playing Texas Hold'em. Now look, I don't have a problem with Texas Hold'em in general. It's kind of a fun game. But if you're going to gather the troops for a gentleman's game of poker, then Texas Hold'em may not be your best choice. And I'll tell you why. I have 3 problems with Texas Hold'em. First, it's a knockout game, which basically means once you go all in and lose, you're out of the game. Go sit over there and wait for the game to end, and then you can perhaps join in the next game. I mean, in theory, on the first deal and the first bet, you could go all in and lose, and then go sit over in the corner over there and ponder the error of your ways until everybody else goes broke. So I don't like the idea that it's a knockout game and can knock me out for a really long time. The second thing that I don't like about Texas Hold'em is the gameplay itself. Now, if you're going to be a winner in Texas Hold'em, then you're going to drop most of the time. What's that? 50, 60, 70% of the time, you're going to take your deal cards and toss them. I mean, if you give me a 2 and an 8 or a 5 and a 10 or something like that, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. So most of the hands you're dropping and you're sitting back watching everybody else play the game. So I don't like the gameplay because it's, again, turns it into a more spectator game than your actual engagement and involvement in the game of poker. The third thing I don't particularly like about Texas Hold'em is that at the end of the game, there's one winner. And if you're playing, say, 5 players, you got 4 losers. Now, you might think that your poker prowess is going to knock these lambs down to size, but even if you are a better poker player, still your odds aren't great. You're, 1 in 5. So the problem I have with that is 4 losers, 1 winner after an hour of gameplay, and the excitement there is just not very equitable. So what we're going to do a little bit different is we're going to share some dealer choice games. Now, we call this dealer choice because there are a variety of different games, and whichever game the dealer chooses to play can pick. And we're also going to play with what we call progressive betting. And the first part of this video is going to talk or explain to you what we call progressive betting. And when I say we, I mean the way that I play it with my friends when we gather for a gentleman's game of poker. Progressive betting basically puts controls on the number of raises, the total amount of betting. But don't get me wrong, there is still plenty of opportunity to lose money. So we're going to talk a little bit about progressive betting. After we do that, we're going to talk about the opportunity for multiple winners in a given hand. That's called high-low winning. Once again, you might already be familiar with it. But this is going to be an interesting way of, once again, keeping our players in the game longer because you have more opportunity on any given hand to win when you play high-low. So, first, let's start by understanding progressive betting. Then we'll go to understanding high-low. Then we're going to take a look at some actual poker games or variations of poker games that, once again, we've been playing for many, many years that you might enjoy. So let's go to the simulator and learn a little bit more about progressive betting. All right, here we go. Before the deal, the dealer must declare what is the progressive bet. In this case, they're going to claim $25, $50, $1. Because there are 3 bets, the first round will be 25, then 50, then $1. All right, it's 5-card draw. It's a simple game, only we're going to draw twice. The first bet always goes to the player to the left of the dealer. And the player 1 has 2 choices. You either bet or drop. There is no passing. If you are going to bet, you have to bet the first round amount, which is 25 cents. Player 2 can either call, drop, or raise. If player 2 chooses to raise, you can only raise in the increment of the first round, which is 25 cents. So player 2 puts in 50 cents. Player 3 can call, drop, or raise. In this case, player 3 is merely going to call. Now the dealer has the same choice, call, drop, or make the second raise, and he does, puts in another quarter. Player 1 has last say, do you want to raise? And he does, maxes out the bet to $1. All player 2, 3, and dealer can do is call or drop, throw your money in. Now this is 5-card double draw. So let's make our first draw. You know how to play 5-card draw, so just however you play 5-card draw. Once the draw is complete, now we're going to go to player 2. You're going to rotate the betting so that now the first bet becomes on player 2, who can either bet or drop. You cannot pass. This round is 50 cents. Player 2 is in for 50 cents. Player 3, same old, call, drop, raise. Player 3 is going to raise in that 50-cent increment, making it $1. The dealer is going to bump that by 50 cents, making the bet now $1.50. And player 1 has the option of making the last raise if you wanted to, and player 1 in fact does. Player 1 is going to put in $2. Now player 2, 3, and dealer can either drop or call. In this case, everybody's calling. Now the pot value is up to 12 bucks. It's amazing how fast it grows. Now we make our second draw. Again, it's a 5-card draw, only we have 2 draws. This time we're going to go to player 3 for the first bet. Player 3 can either bet or drop. There is no passing. If you're going to bet, you have to bet in that round's increment, which this round, it's $1. The dealer is going to bump that by $1. Player 1 is going to bump that by $1. And player 2 decides to max out the raises. Now it's a $4 bet. You either call or drop. Once you call, reveal your cards. Whoever wins, wins it all. Or split if you're playing high-low. All right, that's progressive betting. Now remember, progressive betting is all about dealer's choice. The dealer could have said, instead of a 3-round of betting going from 25 cents to 50 cents to $1, the dealer could have said 25, 25, 25. The dealer could have said, first round is free, second round is 25 cents, third round is 25 cents. It's dealer's choice. Whatever progressive amount the dealer wants to choose, as long as it is socially acceptable, then dealer's choice. Now, the importance to progressive betting and controlling the amount of bet is going to become quite apparent as we talk about high-low. High-low is a method of giving any player additional opportunities to win any given poker hand. High, by winning with the best hand, or low, getting half the pot for having the worst hand. So now with a high-low version of poker, we've got the opportunity to win 2 different ways. 3 ways, actually, but that will make sense when we look at the simulator. Let's go back to the simulator and take a look at playing poker with high-low. The gist of the high-low game is pretty straightforward. You are going to either bet that you have the best hand or you're going to bet that you have the worst hand. It's real simple. There will either be 1 or 2 winners. After the last bet is made is when you will need to declare whether you're going after the high hand or the low hand. Now you could choose to swing, meaning that you've got enough cards here to make two hands, both a high and low. It is the last player to have bet or raised will be the first player to declare high, low, or swing before the reveal of everybody's hand. So that's the basics of high-low. What is the best low hand? Look it. We play a gentleman's game and we allow cards to talk. The reason why we do that is because sometimes a player might be watching a ball game and get distracted during poker, or maybe they get on the phone and don't want to stop the game. Maybe they've had a few too many drinks. And if they were to lay out a straight when they actually have a flush, well, we play a gentleman's game. And when they put the cards down, if you've got a flush, you've got a flush. So what is the perfect low hand? Many argue that it's ace, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in fact, if you played in a professional world, that would be the low hand. But since we play cards talk, that's a straight. So really, we play that the absolute best low hand is not ace, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's ace, 2, 3, 4, 6. You can play it whatever way that you want. But if you did not just simply let cards talk, then 4 aces and a deuce, well, that's a pretty low hand because I call all those aces as low. Well, it's not. You got 4 of a kind. So that's the argument. Do you want to play ace, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a straight, or do you want to play it as a low hand? Entirely up to you. We're going to play ace, 2, 3, 4, 6, or commonly referred to as 6 lock, as the best low hand. All right. Now, if you remember back at our game, player 3 was the last one to have bet, so it's now up to player 3 to declare first whether the player 3 is going to go high or low. And in this case, player 3 is going to declare he's going high. Now it's the dealer's choice. Dealer decides he's going to go for a low hand. Player 1 also decides to go for a low hand. And player 2 is last to declare, and he's declaring a high hand. So now it's a battle between 2 and 3 for high and 1 and the dealer for low. Let's take a look at cards for the fun of it. Player 2 actually has a flush, but player 3 has 4 over 10s full house. So player 3 is going to win with a full house and get half the pot. For the low hand, player 1 has basically 5, 6, 7 against the dealer's 3, 6, 7. So the dealer has an actual better low hand than player 1 does, so the dealer gets half the pot. Now that we got our little tutorial on progressive betting and how you can win playing your games calling out high-low, now let's actually take a look at some games. The first game we're going to take a look at is called 54. You'll quickly understand why we call it 54. It also happens to be our go-to game that we'll play most of the night. Now the game 54 also has a few variations to it that we'll look at as well. To understand 54, let's go to the simulator. All right, the name of the game is 54, high-low. Declare that it's a progressive game and what the progressive amounts will be. Now here I'm just throwing out 5 cards, but you would deal them obviously one at a time. The progressive betting in this round is going to be on the first bet. The betting will be 25 cents. The second round of betting is going to be 50 cents. The third round of betting is going to be 75 cents. And the final round will be $1. After 5 cards are dealt out to everybody, the object of the game is to make the best 5 cards you can from the cards in your hand to the community pot. After the first round of betting and raising takes place, we're going to reveal another card. More betting. After that betting's complete, reveal the third card. More betting. After that's complete, reveal the fourth card. Once the fourth card and the final betting is complete, now it's time to declare. Are you going to go for a high hand or a low hand? Player 1 is going to go for a low hand. Player 1 was the last one to bet. Player 2's turn to declare, and player 2 is going to go for a high hand. Player 3 also goes for a high hand, and oh boy, the dealer, he's going to try and swing and win both high and low. So let's take a look at the cards and see what actually happened. Up here at player 2, we're going to see that player 2 is going to call on the community cards and draw the 10, the jack, and the ace from the community in combination with his queen and king, and player 2 has a straight. Player 3, on the other hand, has 2 aces in his hand, and there is another one in the community card, giving him 3 aces. But there's also a 10 in the community and a 10 in his hand, giving player 3 a full house. Well, the full house beat the straight, so let's look at what the dealer's holding. The dealer has in his hand the 2, 3, and 4 of clubs. The 5 of clubs is in the community pile, and he also has the 6 of clubs. So the dealer has a straight flush. That beats a full house every day. So the dealer won high. Now let's take a look at the low hand. In the low hand, player 1 has 3, ace, 3, 5, 6, 7, using a combination of down cards and community cards, while the dealer has the ace from community and the 2, 3, 4, and 6 in his hand. Since that ace of hearts is not a club, that's not a flush, so that's called an 6 lock. And therefore, the dealer wins. Now, if somebody else had a 6 lock and tied the winner, then the swinger loses. You got to win both. Now, let's take a look at a variation of that very same game. This game is called 54 Roll Your Own High-Low. Now, remember, the game 54, we put 4 cards as a community in the middle, but that's not how Roll Your Own works. Roll Your Own means that we're going to give each player their very own set of 4 cards that will be revealed one at a time. So once we have the deck dealt, the players then make their bets and you reveal 1 card at a time, just like we did with regular 54. Now we move on to 54 Big X. The Big X in this case has a progressive betting of $25, $50, and $1, so says the dealer. Once again, deal out 5 cards, but now what we're doing is we're going to put a big X in the middle. As you can see here, it's an X. And you can use either the cards from either wheel of that X unless you wanted to use them both. You could use them both if you were going to swing. You could use one arm for a high hand, one arm for a low hand. But you must use either one row or the other for any given hand. From this point is where we're going to make our first 25-cent bet. 25 cents, everybody's in, your raises are complete. Once that round of betting is done, we're going to reveal 4 more cards. Once those cards, now we move into round 2. This is a 50-cent round, and you do your raises until the betting is done. When the betting is done, we're going to reveal the last card. The final round of betting in this case was a $1 bet, and once the betting is complete, we're going to reveal. Now, if somebody were to have declared a swing before revealing their cards, this is what it might look like. Let's say that the dealer once again chose to swing. In one leg of that X, we can see that in combination with my ace and 10, on the board there are 2 10s and an ace. That actually gives me a full house. Does anybody betting high beat a full house? If not, then let's look at the low hand. For the low hand, I'm going to use the other arm. There we can see an ace 3 and a 6. In my hand, I have an ace 2 4, which basically means that I have ace 2 3 4 6, or a 6 lock. Now, if nobody has a 6 lock to tie me, because I lose on a tie, then I'm a winner. That's the big X. Well, what's a big X without a little x? The little x is played very much the same way, except it's a little x. Now, in this case, you're going to once again use either of these rows in combination with the cards from your hand, and we're going to make our first bet before revealing any cards. Once the betting is complete, we'll reveal 4 cards, and we move on to betting 2. Once betting 2 is done, we're going to reveal the last card and make your bets. Once the betting is complete, we're going to declare high, low, or swing. Then we're going to show our cards. That's the little X. But we also have 54 with the big L and little l. This is what the big L looks like. I like this game because there's a lot of bets in this game. We reveal 2 cards. You're going to either use the column or the row in combination with your hand to make the best 5-card hand you can. And then we go bet 1. Once the first round of betting is done, we're going to reveal 2 more cards. Now we go for round 2 betting. Once that round is complete, we move on to round 3. Once that's done, we reveal the last card, and yes, there is a 4th bet. That can actually build up quite a nice pot. Declare high, low, or swing. Show your cards. Now, what would a big L be without a little l? Well, yes, there is the little l as well. Now, this time we're not going to reveal any cards, but you can use either the column or the row, just as all other bets. And this one is round 1. Once round 1 betting is complete, we will reveal 2 cards. After the reveal of 2 cards, we go into round 2 of betting. Once that round is complete, we reveal 2 more cards. Round 3. Once that round is complete, we reveal 1 more card. And yes, even in the little l, there are 4 rounds of betting. Declare high, low, show your cards, and share the pot. Well, that's pretty cool. All right, the next game we're going to talk about is the game called 727. It'll be quite apparent in a moment why we call it 727. It is a game that potentially can have 2 winners in it and split the pot. But before we talk about the game 727, I did want to ask a favor of you. I think you know what it is. You know what? I talk to a number of people and I tell them, hey, if you go and watch my video, be sure to thumbs up. And many of them don't really understand the whole concept of thumbs up and subscription and notification. And I figured if they don't know, then perhaps you don't know either, and you probably do. But if you thumbs up a video, you are not only helping the content creator by telling YouTube that you like the video, and again, if you've liked it, then perhaps others would, so it moves it up the stank rankings and allows other people to get that video recommended. The other thing that it does is it tells YouTube that you like that video, and therefore each time you log into YouTube, it can offer you other videos similar to ones that you have liked in the past. So yes, thumbs up does help the content creator, but it also helps you to let YouTube help you pick more videos. Now, if you subscribe to that content creator, then you'll have a quick link to all of the videos that that content creator has made, and then you could view some of their other videos. If you click notification, all that means is that when the content creator that you subscribe to introduces a new video, YouTube will notify you and say, hey, you got a new card playing video out and maybe you'd like to watch it. So like the video, subscribe to the video, and maybe even click on notifications. I have some other videos. I appreciate it. Let's go to the simulator and look at the game 727. All right, as I said, the name of the game is 727. This is kind of an interesting game, as simple as it is. The object of the game is to get as close to 7 or 27 without going over. You can continue to hit, that is, taking more cards, until you're happy with your hand. There's a 3 raise limit and 1 chip increment, which could be 25 cents, 50 cents, whatever your amount is. Now, how do you add up cards? Well, all your face cards are face value. So a 9 is worth 9, a 5 is worth 5, a 3 is worth 3. All face cards are worth half a point. Aces are worth either 1 or 11. Remember, the object is to get 7 or 27. So therefore, the perfect hand would be 2 aces and a 5, because that's clearly 7. And if those aces are 11 each, that's also 27. That's the perfect hand, giving you the potential of winning both high and low. Now to start the game, we are only going to deal out 2 cards. That's it, 2 cards. Now we make our first bet. In this case, it's progressive, so player 1 is first to bet, and the bet is a quarter. Everybody's either in or out, or make your raise. 3 raise limit. Now normally, we can't see that hidden card, but for the point of this tutorial, we're going to show what everybody's actually holding. So the player 1 has 2 half points for a total of 1 point. Player 2 has a 10 and a 5 worth 15 points. Player 3 has an 8 and a face card, so player 3 has 8.5, while the dealer has an ace and a 2, making him 3 or 13. Player 1 decides he's going to take a hit, bringing him up to 1.5. Player 2 decides he wants a hit, bringing him up to 25 points. Player 3 wants a hit, he's got 14.5, and the dealer takes a hit and gets a half of a point, bringing him to 3.5. Now the betting begins. This time it's player 2's turn to start the bidding. Player 2 bets the quarter, and again, you can do raises. I'm just making this very simple. After round 2 is done, now we decide whether we want a hit. Player 2 declares first. Player 2 decides he's going to stay and stick with 25 points. Player 3's made the decision to take another hit, bringing him up to 17.5 with that 3 point. The dealer takes a hit and is now holding 4.5. Now, player 1 is going to stay with that because he just saw the dealer take a hit, thinking that dealer is probably going after the high hand, because otherwise, why did he take a hit? So player 1's feeling pretty good at staying under 7 with only 1.5 points. Now it's betting time. Player 3's turn to bet. Player 3 decides to bet. The dealer's in. Player 1 is in. Player 2 is in. Now, does player 3 want a card? It's going to be up to player 3 to decide first, and player 3 decides to take another hit. That 7 makes it 24.5. Now the dealer decides to stay. Remember, all player 1 can see is 2.5 points. So yeah, he's starting to get a little nervous here, wondering if maybe the dealer is going for a low hand, and he's only got 1.5. So he's probably got to take a hit here if he needs to get closer to 7. So I think what would be wise would be for player 1 to take a hit, and up. He hit a 9. He's now over 7. He has no choice but to go for 27. Bummer for him. 10.5 points. Now, the player 2 is the last one, has decided to stay. Now the betting takes place. Dealer goes first. Dealer's in for the bet. Anybody could raise if they wanted to, but we're not going to raise for simplicity's sake. Now it's up to the dealer. Does the dealer want a card? And the dealer says no, he does not want a card. He's going to stay. Player 1, on the other hand, has to take a card. He draws an 11, giving him a total of either 11.5 or 21.5. Player 2 is going to remain strong and stay with his 25. Player 3 takes a hit, and bam, he just went over 27. So basically, once you go over 27, you're done. Throw in your cards. You made a bad decision. Perhaps his only decision. And the dealer's going to stay. Now we go to player 1 for the betting, and player 1, because we rotate the bet, don't forget. Player 1's in, player 2 is in, player 3 is out, the dealer is in as well. And player 1 has to take another hit, draws a 4, giving him 25.5. The dealer doesn't want any more cards, and neither does player 2. So both of us are going to stay. And now we bet again. Now we rotate the bet. It's player 2's turn. Player 2 decides he's going to bet. Raise if you want. Dealer's in. Player 1 is in. Now we go around to see if anybody wants any more cards. Hey, player 2, do you want any more cards? No, you're good. Dealer, are you good? Yep, dealer's good. Player 1, do you want any more cards? Nope, dealer's good. He's not taking any more cards. Only when everybody passes on taking more do we then have our last and final bet. This time that bet is being rotated down to the dealer. Dealer's in for the 25 cents. We make our rounds, and now we reveal our cards. Player 2 is 25, but player 1 is 25 and a half, closer to 27. The dealer is under 7 with 4 and a half, so the dealer gets half the pot. Half the pot to the 27, half the pot to the 7. If the dealer did go over 7, then there would only be one winner. All right, now that we've seen the game 727, you might now have a better appreciation for progressive betting and limiting the number of raises. I mean, imagine having a couple players at the table, one who already holds 27 and another player that holds 7 in their hand. Well, they're guaranteed winners. So every chance they get, they're going to max out the bet. And when you have two players like that maxing out the bet, you can quickly drive all other players out of the game unless you max the number of raises that the game calls for. So that's 727. The next game we're going to take a look at is one that is a fan favorite that will be played a number of times throughout the night. It's called Double Draw Lowball. It's kind of like double draw poker that we talked about earlier, but only this time we're playing for the worst hand with only 3 cards. Simple game. Let's take a look at the simulator and look at Double Draw Lowball. That's right, boss. The name of the game is Double Draw Lowball. One winner only. That's the beauty. Now here's the perfect double draw lowball hand, ace 2-3. There's going to be 2 draws. Now it wouldn't matter if that was a flush like ace 2-3 of clubs because there is no flush with 3 cards. This is going to be progressive betting. $1, $2, and $3. Yep, we're getting expensive. But again, you can make it any amount you want and there will be a 3 raise max. Let's deal out some cards. Double draw lowball is 3 cards dealt to each player. After the 3 cards, we're going to bet. Obviously, the first player to the left of the dealer will be first to bet. The first round of betting is $1. Player 1 decides to be a player, and he's in for the $1. Player 2 calls, player 3 calls, and the dealer decides to raise $1. So 1 in, 1 up. Everybody else is going to call. And then we're going to decide whether we want to replace cards. Now, normally we're not going to turn these cards up, but for conversation and learning purposes, we're just going to show what everybody's holding. Player 1's got a pair of kings that's far from a low hand, so he's going to toss the kings and ask for 2 cards. And he gets a pair of aces. A pair of aces does also not make for a very good low hand. Player 2, on the other hand, he's quite content with 3, 6, 7 for his low hand, so he's not going to take a hit. Meanwhile, over here at player 3 has the 2 and the 3, which would be basically 2 pieces to the wheel or 2 pieces to the perfect low, so he's going to take a hit and gets a jack, and that does not help him very much. The dealer wants to dump that 10 and jack, hang on to the 5, and the dealer draws a 6 and a jack. That's an improvement, however small it may be. Now we go to player 2 to begin the second round of betting at $2. 2 is in, 3 is in, dealer is in for $2, and player 1 decides it's not worth it. He's going to drop. With player 1 out of the way, now it goes to player 2. Do you want a card? No. Player 2 is still happy with his cards. Player 3, on the other hand, he doesn't want the jack, so he's going to draw a card and draws the 8. Still not a bad hand, by the way. The dealer's going to dump the jack and draw a card, and lo and behold, the dealer draws a 4. Dealer now has 4, 5, 6. That's a pretty good low hand. Not perfect, but better. Now player 3's turn to bet. This round of betting is $3 a round. Player 3's in for $3. The dealer is in for $3 with a $3 raise. Player 2 decides that he wants to be a player, so he's going to call that bet. Player 3 thinks he's got a chance, so he's going to call that bet. And now we reveal our cards. And obviously, 4, 5, 6 is the winner. And in this game, winner takes all. It's that simple. All right, that's double draw low ball. Yeah, it gets played a half dozen times a night or so. But then the last two games we're going to talk about are kind of just straight up silly fun games. The first one we call 54 Roll Your Own Rasta Sweat. Yeah, somebody is going to call this game at some point during the night, usually just to tick off everybody who hates the game. But it is kind of a fun game. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Back to the simulator. All right. Welcome to 54 Roll Your Own Rasta Sweat. The game is actually kind of quite simple. Let's meet the players. In the upper left-hand corner, player 1 will be played by Linus from the Peanuts. Player 2 in the upper right-hand corner is Sharky from some cartoon. I don't know. Player 3 in the lower right-hand corner is Angry Birds. And our dealer today will be Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, 54 Roll Your Own Rasta Sweat is basically the game 54 Roll Your Own. I'm dealing 5 cards up. Obviously, these would be face down. Not everybody would see them. But for this game, again, I'm turning them up. And it's 54. So roll your own. Everybody gets their very own 4 cards to reveal and make the best 5-card hand you can. And again, you can play high-low if you wish, or you can play with one winner. The difference here in 54 Roll Your Own and what makes it Rasta Sweat is in Rasta Sweat, there's a kill pile of cards. 4 of them, to be exact. So after the cards are dealt and you reveal a kill card, if a card comes from the kill pile and you have one of those cards, you have to discard it. So sorry, Linux, sorry, Angry Bird, you both had a 6. Now that includes if you had it in your face down cards. Now we bet. After the first round of betting, everybody reveals one of their down cards and we show another kill card. If you have one of those, that has to go. Sorry, Linux. Sorry, Sharky. There go your 3s. Once that is complete, we bet some more. After that round of betting is done, we reveal another card and another kill card. Once again, if you have it, just discard it. Sorry, Linux. There goes another one of yours. Even if that card is in your down pile, that's fair game too. They gotta go. After we kill your last cards, another round of betting. Now, the reason why they call this Rasta Sweat is because you're sweating out what you thought was a good hand once upon a time to now it's no longer a good hand. So say goodbye to that full house there, Angry Bird. Those 3 4s over 2 kings. You're down to 3 4s. Hence, Rasta Sweat. And we make our final bet and we reveal our cards. So if we take a closer look at this, you'll see that player 1 has a queen high, while player 2 has 3 2s, Angry Bird has 3 4s, and the dealer has a flush of hearts. Dealer's a winner. It's that easy. One winner take all or high-low, however you wish to play it. We usually play one winner take all. Game over. All right, the last game we're going to review in this video is a game that we call Showdown. Now, the reason why we call it Showdown will once again become quite apparent. We use Showdown as our last game of the evening to basically call it a night. And we'll all throw in a fixed amount of money, $5, $10, maybe even 15 or 20 bucks, everybody. And this is your last chance to either go home with an enhanced income or you go home down that much more. I mean, you're already down, so going down another 10 or 20 bucks, what are you going to do? It's Showdown, last game of the night. Let's go to the simulator and look at Showdown. Welcome to the Showdown. This is kind of a fun, crazy game, but it's also a very simple game. Today's game, we're featuring the good, the bad, and the ugly. Nah. Let's bring in some real players here. All right, in the upper left-hand corner, let's have player 1 be Superman. Sure, why not? And in the upper right-hand corner, as player number 2, it will be Michael Jackson. Woohoo! Sure, why not? All right, thank you, Michael, for joining us today as player 2. In the lower right-hand corner, we've got this crazy cowgirl, just because I think it's a pretty cool image. All right, welcome aboard, player 3. And our dealer today will be Anonymous. Thank you, Anonymous. Okay, now this game is called Showdown, and the game is downright bloody simple. We're going to deal out 9 cards to everybody, and those 9 cards will in fact be dealt face up. We're going to make our best 5-card high hand. There's no raising, no betting, just ante up. That's the extent of the betting. Everybody throw in a bunch of money. 1 lump sum, winner take all. Simple game. Now this is a fun game because if you draw this out by dealing them out slowly, everybody can see what they need to beat the next player. So I'm going to throw out a few cards and see if we can get something to resemble somebody's hand. Right now the ace high is winning. Here we go. Player 1 has drawn 2 3s. Player 3 is holding a pair of 7s. So player 3 is currently in the lead. We'll throw out a few more cards here. Player 3 has just drawn a 3rd 7. A couple more cards here. Now you can see player 2's got 4 hearts. That's 4 pieces to a flush. Draw another heart and you could be looking really, really good. Player 1 just drew a 2nd king. Now player 1 is sitting with 2 pair. 1 more card to give him a full boat if he can hope for that. But it's too late. Player 3 just drew a 2nd ace, giving player 3 a full house, and she's feeling quite full of herself. Okay, let's deal on. Oh, wait a minute. Dealer has just put down a 4th diamond in a straight, missing but 1 card. Oh, player 2 just drew a 4th heart, giving him a flush. Not enough to beat that full house with player 3, but the dealer did in fact draw that 9 of diamonds, giving the dealer a straight flush. Sorry, put player 3 back in her place. So take the best 5 cards and you'll see that player 1 basically ended up with 2 pair. Michael Jackson did in fact pull that flush. The cowgirl pulled the full house, but the dealer once again drew the straight flush. So the winner is, to take home all the marbles, will be Anonymous. Congratulations. Winner take all. Well, we've looked at a bunch of games, and I'm hoping that you all enjoyed this video. And once again, if you did, and if you actually play these games as having never played them before, by all means, leave a comment below and let us know how it went. If you have other variations to the game that we've just reviewed, leave those in the comments below, and others may be able to enjoy some of your experiences. So once again, thank you so much for joining, and I hope to have you come back and visit. I've got a few other videos out there, other card playing, and even some builds. I even have a video on building this desk. So check it out. And again, thanks for joining. Have a great day.